Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, everyone, here we are after market close on Wednesday, September 1st. We're going to take our daily look at SoFi. SoFi having a nice day today, up nearly 3%. And we see here on the daily chart, just for record-keeping purposes, this morning came in just above this 1411 support zone that we had charted, came in, retested that at 10:05 and at 10:06, so sort of double bottomed there, flipping from red candle testing to green candle jumping off. That was all that it needed to get support over the VWAP, establish along there, and hold that support throughout the morning. And then just before noon, having a nice run up off the VWAP and holding throughout the rest of the day. Really, really strong there. So excellent work for SoFi on the day. And this, of course, will beg the question of the pinning of the stock price to max pain. As we talked about yesterday, max pain 14.5 per Swaggy stocks, and today Swaggy, I did a refresh here, I promise, still showing 14.5. It's not uncommon that it stays the same day today. We'll see if it adjusts. I guess, what is today, Wednesday? We'll see if it adjusts on Thursday or on Friday itself. But at this point, if the manipulation effort is to pin SoFi's price to max pain at close on Friday, then it did a good job of setting that scenario up today and allowing it a smidge of wiggle room down in order to hit that by Friday. So we'll see if we end up to be a bunch of sideways Sallys and sideways Samuels for the rest of the week to just close there. But yeah, interesting day, good day today based on the support zone that we had plotted, and then jumping off the VWAP. It was kind of a textbook day for an intraday trade. If we zoom back out and take a look at the daily here, what we have been charting, we have this wedge. It's still pinning itself now nicely in this wedge. Yesterday, where I was wondering in the video if it was going to fall out of this wedge because it was struggling to hold this 1411 support zone. And also what I was saying was the pressure that's being put on that level to hold up being tested time and time again, and for the buyers to show up over and over again can be a little worrisome from a bullish perspective of at what point are those buys just not going to show up anymore and that the price is going to fall through. But we saw them show up today and then continue to show up throughout the day, still sticking this daily chart right in the wedge here. So interesting to see what's going to happen. If we stay in this zone, we are likely going to wedge out around the 9th, maybe the 8th of September. But first thing would be to see if it can even stay in this confined or ever more confined zone in the meantime. MACD continuing that slight bullish crossover at the moment, so not so dissimilar from what we saw here. Very slight move first, and then continuing to jump up and up and up and up, and that was obviously leading up to earnings. So interesting to see here if history can repeat itself. Volume, staying quite on pace. 15 million on Monday, 14 million yesterday, and then 16.7 million today. So really nice in my opinion. I think that it's I'm being very cautious here because of, well, you know why, the catastrophe that we've had to endure since that first lockup expired toward the end of June. But there are some decent signs here, so I'm willing to see what plays out. In the order flow side of things, we saw a bunch of outflow today. I had checked on this earlier, and there was really just this small inflow that was showing. So I'm not sure exactly when this large outflow came out, but I think that it was later on in the day because, like I said, when I had checked it early on or midday, it might have been right when it had that like bit of an upswing through the VWAP that we were looking at. All that I saw at that time was a small bit of large scale inflow. So not sure what this is or who it is, but we'll learn more as time goes on. we'll do deeper dives into the data on Friday. I think that'll be sort of a good week, end of the week kind of endeavor. Now, I I do want to share this. I saw this pop up today. 2 catalysts to get SoFi to $20 by the end of the year. Investor Placement putting out a bunch of sort of dueling articles on SoFi, and like one writer saying here's why I'm bullish, one writer saying here's why I'm bearish. Here's why it's undervalued, here's why it's overvalued. I would say this is probably worth a read if you want just sort of additional info on what this person is looking for. But the things that struck me as funny here, just to look at this for reasons of why not. Reason number one, SoFi stock moves higher, and then they give the few reasons why. But then reason number two is it reaches $20. So when I was skimming at first and just going, wait a minute, are they saying these 2 catalysts get SoFi to $20 by the end of the year? And then I was looking and skimming through, SoFi stock moves higher. It was just a weird way to frame the argument, it seemed, that it moves higher and then it reaches $20. But they do go through some of the actual reasons why. They talk about not non-lending revenue in this first section, and then the second section talk about acquisitions like Galileo and the bank charter and that sort of thing. So there is some decent info in there if you need some sort of brushing up on what we are hoping for on the bullish side of things to see play out, as SoFi has struggled in many aspects as of late. One other thing that I thought was kind of funny here. Where is it? Who might this acquisition be? I'm not about to speculate. However, I don't think CEO Anthony neato. So neato, Anthony. Very, very neato indeed. So I thought that was funny. But this is me. I'm not like intentionally poking fun at that. I obviously say a bunch of off like kilter things in the videos. It's hard to produce content. It is. Anyone who does it well, which I don't put myself in that category, kudos. It's very challenging to speak coherently and to say things that don't come across as just weird and funny, or weird and annoying. But those things just stood out to me from the perspective of, wow, I can empathize with trying to put this article out and then having a few weird oddities about it. Short interest today coming down quite a bit, so minus 6% in the day. We now see utilization. If you remember in last week's videos, we had seen this pop up over 50%. You see there 7 days ago, 51.75. So peeling back to just about a third of the shares available to be loaned out being utilized by short sellers, and now getting back closer to 5% of the free float being shorted, which certainly reduces the downward pressure on SoFi. There has been some speculation since this PayPal article came out, and the degree to which that's seen as, are they going to be yet another competitor to SoFi? I do think there's an element of the longer SoFi takes to boil this ocean, which they're trying to do, the more they leave the door open for companies that are potentially much better put together, meaning like they're streamlined, they're super well capitalized, and they have tons of people in place to deploy into different projects. I think they do run the risk of somebody coming in and just swooping in and taking their game plan to some degree. That said, there are things that they have in motion, like the bank charter, that are just bureaucratic hurdles that somebody else would have to very publicly kind of go through. So in that way, they would be tipping their hat a bit, I guess. But there's also been speculation around, could PayPal come in to try to acquire SoFi? The interesting thing about that to me is we had talked about, and you can find this on YouTube somewhere else. There's this video out talking about an interview that Elon had done about when he was CEO of PayPal, and before he was ousted, he essentially talks about what he wanted to create with PayPal, what he wanted to make it become. And it sounds a lot like what SoFi says that they want to do, become this one-stop shop, bring a bunch of things under one umbrella, and handle those things at one company versus spreading them out over several different companies. And so it would be really, really funny, really interesting. It would be sort of like the simulation has to be real kind of situation if Elon had this vision, it was shot down, it created enough strife, or was a data point in the strife that was otherwise happening with the leadership team at PayPal in those days that caused him to be ousted. And then just decades later, or so, that's they acquire a company that is trying to do the thing that Elon was talking about, back in those early days, so that they could help then accomplish that thing at this point. I don't know. That gets very far down the rabbit hole of things that there's probably so many missteps in there that I'm not capturing that quite correctly. But I thought that it was funny, and I think it's interesting. I don't think that it's a super straightforward answer to say no. I don't think there's any world in which PayPal would think about acquiring SoFi. There's probably much more to dig into. I haven't done a lot of research on it. On its face, it doesn't seem like something that's absolutely insane to me. But I'm sure there's some things that are mismatched and there's some things that are good matches, but that's typically where negotiations and considerations are made in the mergers and acquisition timeline. So we'll see what happens, but it's certainly not something that I'm going to hold my breath on and say I'm buying SoFi now because I think they're going to get acquired by PayPal. That's not the camp that I'm in at the moment, but it certainly raised a lot of interesting speculation, and I think there was a lot of folks kind of thinking the same thing, so I just wanted to mention it. Well, I hope that your week is going well. I've been thinking it was Tuesday all day, so happy hump day, and happy September. We've made it thus far, and let's see how much further we can go. All right, folks, I certainly appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.